There we go. Everyone in the audience, welcome. We're very happy to have you here, and we're very happy to have Jyothi here today. So I'll introduce you. Jyothi is an architect, geospatial data scientist, associate professor at Christ University School of Architecture, and she was awarded Karnataka Women's Leadership Award 2025 by Karnataka Government and Global Smart Cities Championship 2021 from World CSR Congress, having a total of 19 plus years of work experience in AEC architecture, engineering, construction industry. She published her first Scopius Index textbook with London publisher Routledge, Taylor and Francis Group on sustainability and urban quality of life, research, policy and practice. She has 1 patent published and 3 copyrights published at WRT IPR cells. So quite a lot of compliments. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ki, and thank you for the whole team of Embrace the Earth. I will be sharing my slides. Okay. So thank you for the wonderful introduction. As I was just discussing, I'm so pleased to be part of Embrace the Earth. It's such a noble team and wonderful people to work with. Basically, today's topic would be more on climate technology, what actually I am looking for. Climate, sorry. Is my slide visible?
Yes, your slides are visible. Thank you.
So climate technologies and building profitability green businesses. So the main flow of my presentation would be on what is the opportunities, what is the green opportunities or sustainability that we all will be talking. Then what are the main key sectors in climate technologies, the strategies for profitability, sustainability, how profitable the sustainable is, and the 4 main pillars of sustainable businesses. Then I would be explaining you something on the case studies, the examples about the green businesses and the main leaders who are working on it. So this is a phase that is being taken by PwC, wherein they say adaptation is what we are looking for. We need to actually look for what is there in sustainability. Few years back, United Frames United Nations, the team on climate change has emphasized where we are adapting for mitigation. So overall, throughout the countries, 85% at national level, we are actually working on policies, strategies, a lot of documentations, 85%. 25% are actually developed laws and acts by the government so that we can be implemented in the daily routine work. 70% of the countries are actually administrative bodies to adapt this kind of overseeing the actions, that is monitoring work. And finally, 67% is on the domestic finance, in what way the priorities of the adaptation is. So as you all know, the Sustainable Development Goal. Sustainable Development Goal, there are 17 goals, and I have actually highlighted few of them. The reason is because it is important for all of us to understand the main part of Sustainable Development Goal. So the Sustainable Development Goal, the first thing I would say is definitely no poverty, the main task for all of us. And then comes zero hunger. We need to focus on hunger. In what way we need to see that each meal of a day is important, and a person who is sleeping without a meal, that is where the hunger lies behind. So we need to ensure the zero hunger policy is being incorporated, and most of the countries, especially countries like India, Africa, and Asian countries, we need to incorporate zero hunger. Good health. You all have seen and all have experienced the disaster that was faced few years back, on the COVID pandemic. So health is definitely the main task. And when I talk about health, I talk about the health facility. I talk about how is your immune system, in what way actually you work with. So SDG goal 3 works on good health. Gender equality. Gender equality, I would be focusing more on equality with regard to the male and female. Female, what is the leadership count available? In what way are we actually understanding the importance of women in the throughout the country? So this all is really important for all of us to make an emphasis on what is the main importance of gender equality. Then comes sustainable cities and communities. We talk about reduce inequalities, innovation and infrastructure, economic growth. Without everything, if the economy is not growing, that is a main problem. So the growth of economy is definitely is a main thing. And the main part of this session is climate action. What is the action are we taking? There was the Paris Agreement that was launched, wherein they were targeting net zero. In what way are we actually focusing on net zero aspects? So the role of sustainable development goals, whether we talk about transportation, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about sustainable cities, we talk about what is the consumption, how is a good health and well-being being targeted? What is the road safety policies? What is the climate change mitigation that's been adapted? What is the adaptation and the mitigation, the main responsibility? What is the sustainable cities direct targets? What is the indirect targets that we are taking? What is the food losses? And what is the waste fuel subsidiaries that we all being taken care? So the main aspects also talks about air pollution. Air pollution, as you all aware, we are facing a lot of challenges with the pollution. The AQI is gone above 300. It is very difficult to breathe in northern India. So the air pollution is also main aspects, not only for your climate but also for your health, for your well-being, and accessibility to safe drinking water. So I would say drinking water is a main task where actually you get good drinking water. In what way are we affording the clean energy? In the energy that we all see, in what way is the affordability taken care of? Next comes about the mobility. What is the importance about the green mobility? So this source I had taken from S&P Global Mobility, wherein they talk about the green mobility. Now, everything that we are focusing on is on green sustainability, and in what way are we actually targeting the growth? So the first one is the domestic manufacturing, then the green hydrogen, the hydrogen aspects of the implementation, biofuel. I would definitely recommend use of biofuel because biofuel is more recommended. The biofuel is more aesthetic. It also can be developed in various other aspects. Hybrid vehicles. So the vehicles, as you all know, with the Iran and US war, we all are suffering with the consumption of oil, LPG, and the various aspects of it. So the vehicles needs to get into hybrid. We cannot predict the futures. We cannot predict our leaders. So definitely what we can see is in what way are we getting a sustainability aspect. So the hybrid vehicles. Then the electric vehicle. Electric vehicle, the main thing is the charging point. Where is the charging point going ahead? Where we can actually focus on the charging point and what can be the outcome of the totality. Then the policy and the partnership that is being adhered to, the impact of urban, and finally the overall mobility. Now, if you see, I would like, why I highlighted this slide, this was taken from the World Health Organization. Now, this slide talks about overview of the road accidents that's happening, overview about what is the losses that we are going through. Now, 3% of GDP is about major disasters that's happening. Now, top 10 is basically on the medium income countries, that is the developing countries. And 11% is definitely seen in our country. Then India, when I talk about India, we also see a mere share about the World Bank report. So the concern in what way the well-funded efforts are being taken care, what is the increasing growth of motorization, what is the fatalities, what is the total year of growth that is being seen with regard to the accident. Next, the main topic of this study, of this team, or this discussion is autonomous vehicles. We talk about autonomous vehicles, but in what way the autonomous vehicles is actually working out, in what way we are implementing it. And frankly speaking, this is the good news that China is going to be a leader in autonomous vehicle, and it will be a largest one that is being targeted for 2040. So you see where autonomous vehicle is going. The study is by McKinsey, wherein they were talking about mobility service and the private services on the AV, and also they were talking about the vehicle system that was seen in the year ahead. The estimated passengers growth, what was seen in 2018 to what was being going through in 2025 to 2030. So you can see the percentage of where the AV vehicles are and what is the main aspects of AV that is being going through. Okay. Now let's talk about what can we do? What can we work out to make it more sustainability? So the main pillars of sustainability, the need of for our discussion, basically transportation, use of more public transportations is highly recommended. Then we need to go for electrifications. We need to have mobility with shared communications. Then we need to go with a mode of transportation. Avoid using vehicles, try bicycles, walk, use your health. Walking at least 10,000 to 15,000 steps will be good for your health. This all we are looking for future communities. Why? We cannot walk if the infrastructure is not right. If there is no good infrastructure, in what way we can see the future for? How are we upgrading or proposing the existing infrastructure? Technology. Now, this session is talking about technology. So when I talk about technology, I talk about what is the solution are we addressing? In what way are we connecting or emulating the technologies? So the connectivity of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, data analytics plays a major role. What is the main policies of this? So now the carbon emission was a target. That is how the carbon emission standards have been focused on and what we see ahead of the near coming future. Citizen-focused policies and demand management. It's important for all of us to understand the policies of what the citizen focus is focusing on and what is the management is being demanding. So finally, the funding process, the cost sharing, the climate financing, and the subsidies. So the study was from NERAC research, and this talks about the framework of how a country on mobility is being taken care and what is the key foundation of the elements. Now, let's talk about electric vehicles. Electric vehicles is definitely transforming the way we travel by offering a cleaner, smarter, and more efficient alternative way for traditional based fuel transportation. Now, when I talk about traditional base, as we see in our country, we are pushing ourselves into more sustainability and making it more future ready. Why are we doing this? Definitely zero emission. Carbon dioxide content, the air pollution has been increased. The health is having a big impact. So to have a better, good health and reduce the air pollution, we need to go for switch to electric. Low maintenance, definitely. The maintenance cost, the operating cost is definitely way minimum compared to an oil or petrol gas. The running cost, as I mentioned, tax and incentive. The best part is the government is providing tax and benefit facility. So whether I talk about our country or any other country, whether I may say the electric vehicle is an advantage because it is also the tax benefit. So the Form 16 that you pay or the tax that you pay for your government, it's also having a subsidy for the electric vehicle. In what way are we making it more efficient? The electric vehicles definitely convert 60% of energy into a wheel power. It is more connected with the cars, which converts into 20%, wasting about 80% of energy. Drive-wise, definitely it is easy to drive. It has no gears. It is very smooth and definitely it having a home charge facility and it is a silent moisturizer. Now, next, let me talk about a framework of ecosystem that is to be taken ahead. So our main customer, whether I talk about B2B, business to business, B2C, business to customer, or the public, in what way the users are going through. Unless the infrastructure is built, it is difficult for all of us to focus on e-mobility ecosystem. So the charging facility, the charging station, the utilities, and the RSU is the main part for mobility system. Then the regulation and subsidies, that is the EU scale, the national scale, the subsidies, the EV, the OEM, the automotive supply, the battery manufacturers, and finally the multimodal travel that we all take ahead. So majorly, what is a key sector in climate technology? So first one, built environment, making buildings more greener and more efficient and more reliable. So I would say we should focus more on green buildings. Carbon technology, how we can lower the concentration of carbon dioxide and also in the earth atmosphere. Next comes the energy and grid. Electricity powers is everything. It is time for we all need to work across the energy and grid. So definitely we talk about the energy and grid, we talk about the facility, we also talk about what is the smart grid system that we all need to incorporate. Food and agriculture, that is the agriculture and the way the sustainability produces the food. And finally, what is the details that's mentioned. Next, a very important part is industry and manufacturing. Frankly speaking, 80% of the carbon dioxide contents is coming from industry. So we need to be very careful of the ensuring that coal manufacturing needs to be changing its technology and updating its technology. Definitely, so decarbonizing the entire life cycle of the production of goods. Intelligence and adaptation. So the important part is in what way are we doing climate risk? In what way is the data that is helping us to adapt into a more efficient way of climate change? In supporting catalysts, the businesses that are indirectly supported is about decarbonizing the efforts of technologies. Finally, my whole slides were talking about transportation and mobility. So electrifying your mobility and what way you can do it in a better way, more sustainable, that's important. What are the strategies for profitable sustainability? So the strategies, the first one is operational efficiencies and cost reduction. Very important for all of us to understand the operational efficiencies and cost reduction. Second is strategic growth and brand enhancement. What is the strategic growth and what is the brand enhancement that we all need to focus on? Innovative business models, implementation, and culture. The main 4 pillars of sustainability. So let's talk about the first pillar, environment. Environment talks about the balance between the maximizing the ecological impact, that is conserving the natural resources, that is the water, the air, the land, and reducing the waste and utilizing the renewable energy. Social, emphasizing on the treatment of living, how employees are being treated, the human rights, the communities and the equality and the safety aspects. Example, the fair trade practices. Economy, the main part because it involves finances, viability, profitability, and ethical growth without any negativity impact on the other 3 pillars. That is, the economic needs to be aligned with environment, social, and culture so that we can see the next step into a more dynamic way. Next comes human and cultural investment. It's important for all of us to understand the importance of how we invest on the human capital through the education, health, and well-being, and while preserving the cultural heritage and diversity. So the main examples and case study that I was talking in the start of my slides, the first one is the main sector, that is the manufacturing and consumer goods. Unilever, It is used to reduce the operational carbon emission by about 74%. That was being tracked from 2015 to 2023. And further, they have targeted for their scope 3 to target about 42% reduction by 2030. So this is the main case study, main example of an organization, of a manufacturing unit, Unilever, which has actually gone green, which is a green business, and it is actually working on technology. Then comes Patagonia. Patagonia, if you all have heard of, it is an environment leadership. It influences industries on the sustainable apparels, clothing. It's all connected to clothing. 3M. 3M is one of the most sustainable and water-based process to lower the cost and to ensure regularity compliances. Finally, our furniture or any brand, that is IKEA, the Sweden brand, which talks about the circular designs, it talks about renewable energy and how positive it is towards the climate. So like this are the examples set by organization, and we need to ensure that this is being taken into the next level, and most of the organization works towards it. Whether I talk about renewable energy, I talk about circular design, I talk about Unilever, IKEA, 3M, Patagonia, manufacturing sector. Now let's talk about climate adaptation and resilience. Now this is the shoe brand Nike, which is in India. It has improved the labor productivity. It have decreased the absenteeism by implementing the cooling canopy and rainwater harvesting. So you all see the rainwater harvesting. It's one of the main part that is being considered for the case studies has been considered here. Then the Danone from South Africa. They have been utilizing the zero water discharge loop and the microgrid to secure water supplies and reduce the operational risk. Then the GSENG cooperation in Asia has enhanced the safety of laborers, especially when the workers are in the rising temperature. And then comes my next slide, which talks about urban planning and infrastructure. So as an architect, I would say this is a very important part for me to discuss, because as an architect, we are all mandatory working on green building, on green structure, on architecture needs to be more sustainable. So one of the main case studies is Copenhagen in Denmark. This country is indeed worked tediously on green roofing, smart grid, heating to be reduced in such a way it can make carbon neutral. Then end of the day, it's showcasing the unique way of urban planning. Barcelona, which is in Spain, it was also used green infrastructure and tree planting to manage heat and reduce the flood aspects. Finally, what do I talk about the key takeaways? In what way should I see the businesses in the key takeaways? So the value engineering, the climate action can definitely generate up to $26 trillion in 2030, and including a higher GDP and low carbon jobs. So even the jobs are being considered in a more appropriate way of understanding. Next comes the risk management. Now, when I talk about risk management, I talk about core business resilience, I talk about climate change, the strategies that works across it. And then the regulatory compliance, that is meeting environment standards is necessary to stay ahead of a stricter regulation. So with this, I would like to conclude my slides. I am open for questions.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting. I definitely have a question or two, but maybe someone in the audience has one in that case. Please go for it. No, then I'll ask you one first, because yeah, you showed a lot of interesting ideas, of course, with like electrification and public transport and all of those suggestions. My question is like, how much do you think is there in terms of political will? Like, is the government, specifically in India in this case, like very willing to do that? Or is it all very far ahead in the technology, but the like reality is falling behind, do you feel?
So thank you for your question. Wonderful question. Indeed, I would say if you're giving an example of India, India is a developing country. So I would talk about tier one cities. There are three tiers of cities: tier one, tier two, tier three. So tier one is the most developed cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. They're the developed cities. Tier two and tier three cities are yet to be developed. So there are new launches, like we have a Japanish technology for connectivity high-speed rail proposed from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. We are proposing metro connectivity. So people are moving from vehicles to public transport in order to avoid traffic and make it more sustainable. Frankly speaking, we are borrowing the technology from Western countries. It's taking time, definitely, I would say, but government is supporting. And frankly, also to add, we all are actually wanting to move into more smart and resilient cities compared to our rural areas. 80% of our country is rural, but now it is developing more into an advanced and urban cities. And when we say urban, it's connected to technology. Now that I'm talking, we are in 2026, and what I see ahead and in what way our cities developing, I would say, yes, technology is developing. People are getting educated, and with our Gen Z and people proactively working on climate, I would say, yes, people are moving into electrification and public transportation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions in the audience?
Yeah, I have a question. My question is, which emerging technologies are most likely to disrupt the sustainability space in the next 5 to 10 years?
So as I mentioned, this net zero target from the Paris Agreement is being highlighted, and our country is way, way behind. The target is 2030, and in like a couple of years, I'm reaching 2030. So if I talk about net zero, is where we need to focus. Air pollution is a major, major problem, especially in cities like Delhi, and even our Bangalore also is pitching into that AQI of 300 plus. So I would target that as a climate change, we need to focus on carbon dioxide reduction and make a city more net zero focused.
Thank you. Okay. See some movement there. You're on mute, Penelope.
Yep. I can see. Okay, thank you. I have a question for you, Jyothi. To what extent do you see the Indian government moving away from its huge dependency on coal? Electricity needs to be produced, and there's a great need for it. That's understandable. But how far are they along this road of moving away from their own big coal resources that they have?
So as I mentioned, our manufacturing sector is majorly having an impact on carbon dioxide. As rightly mentioned, coal is a major task. The government has highlighted the red zones, wherein they are targeting those manufacturing sectors to upgrade their technology, which takes time, right? But they have actually highlighted, and they are working towards it so that we can remove coal and use another material to compensate and go ahead. So I would say the government is working across, and there are a lot of case studies also been there in the notification that they said that, well, in the northern India, as I mentioned, the capital of India is fully AQI is emerging as a very bad situation. So the government has instructed all the manufacturing industries not to use coal and move into a technology-driven electrification and use a better way of manufacturing. So yes, the government is working across. As you know, because of the air pollution, the health is getting impact of the people, citizens, and that is a major loss. So when it comes to health, people start working. It's like a backwards calculation.
So to what extent are they moving away from coal? Are they developing nuclear power energy or solar or hydroelectric? I mean, what is the alternative for these
What
companies?
I was being told, they are working on hydrogen and lithium. And solar panels are definitely there. Solar panels are there from a long time, from a decade. Our airport is also converted into solar panels. So for more technologies, I would say yes, hydrogen and lithium. I'm not sure about nuclear.
Need of the hour slide. How is the awareness being created about this? Since India is huge, is the government helping / supporting this? A lot of questions about your government today.
Yes, thank you. I would say that yes, government is working out. I would not say that they are keeping quiet, because if you see that whatever you talk about, whether you talk about sustainability, we have 4 pillars in sustainability, and one of the pillars is government. Then we talk about EAG. EAG is again environment, social governance, and again one of the pillar is government. So I would say yes, government is working. India is huge. It will take time, as I mentioned. And there is a lot of replications happening around. Recently, just on Monday, we have two states with the new government, like Tamil Nadu, and that is in the South India, and in the eastern we had West Bengal. So again, we had change of government. So if the government is not working, we change the government, because it's a democratic country. You all know it's a democratic country. We all fight for our right, and climate is a main thing that we all work out. So yes, government is working. It's taking time, but it's working.
I have another question. Yeah, sorry. Do you see any change in the use of fossil fuel inputs as regards agriculture and food security issues? Fossil fuel inputs are a major source of emissions across lands that are being cultivated. Do you see any change towards biofertilizer, biopesticides, change in agricultural modes and practices to accommodate moving away from fossil fuel inputs?
I would say biofuel is what's being proposed these days. Earlier, we were working with fossil fuels, but the farmers are facing the agriculture part that happens in Punjab. Our agriculture is located in the northern India. So that also is actually working on the fueling, the biofueling part. And because of the costs, I would say we are limited, because it's a process, and that involves cost. So I would say that yes, they are working out, and I think with more data on this, I would say I could come back to you. I could send a mail.
Right. There was another comment in the chat here, which is thank you for your wonderful presentation. What's on my mind is that I have a recommendation on the reducing level of carbon dioxide emission, so that we will have a good and resilient weather control by reducing the level of chemical fertilizers by the farmer rather than using biofertilizers. So I guess that's more a comment than a question, but yeah, unless you have a question related to this as well, Yusuf, then please do let us know. But otherwise, just a comment, I guess.
Yes, you go ahead.
I guess that's it. All right. Well, are there any more questions?
I think there is another question there in the comments, Kiki.
Which one? I have
Krishna.
Yes, we had that one.
Okay.
At the start. Yeah. Then I think that is it. Thank you so much, Jyothi, for your wonderful presentation. It's very interesting to get a bit more insight into this topic as well. And it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thanks all for your questions.
Thank you so much, Jyothi.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.